Hey y'all, I'm Courtney.
And I'm Sarah.
And this is Bodice Siblings,
the podcast where we read all the books we used to steal off our grandmother's nightstands.
And then we drink about it.
Hey y'all.
Hey y'all.
We're coming to you on this January 6th with another Anne Rice book out of the normal rhythm of the seasons for reasons which I will explain later. As usual for Anne Rice, we are joined by special guest, the podcast, Claire Mishker. Claire, do you want to introduce yourself again?
Woohoo! Sure. Yeah. Hi, I'm Claire Mishker. I live in Mississippi, and I've known Courtney since we were children. And I love Anne Rice, and I love participating in these, and that's all I have to say today.
Also, she's a real literature scholar. She does
well. I have a PhD in literature, and I teach composition and rhetoric, and focus a lot, on that writing.
Unlike sometimes Anne Rice. So, if you're wondering why we are doing this outside of our normal October Anne Rice-a-thon, which we always do a Vampire Chronicles book in October, we realized that because she went and started a new Tales of the Vampires, we had accidentally skipped Pandora. And since at the time we thought we were going to win the election, we were all like, we're not going back. And Courtney noticed that this one came out on January 6th of, 1997, I believe. So we're like...
98, yes. And I thought, wouldn't it be funny?
Yeah.
Boy, am I laughing.
Yeah.
Yes, it's fucking hilarious. It's the best thing. While we're gearing the fuck up for this, we thought, well, you know what? And actually, somebody on Blue Sky said they were looking forward to it, which really actually helped my little heart a good bit. So I hope this helps you get through this motherfucking shit. So the good news is, we accidentally read a good one. It was so good. Like I'm so glad that that we did not accidentally skip this one. So after this, we will be definitely back in order. So look forward to that coming up in next October, as as usual. Courtney, you got some stuff on the book.
Nothing matters anymore.
What is time?
So this book occurs shortly after the events of our favorite that we've never read, Memnoch the Devil, and it becomes before the Vampire Armand. And so, it was initially published on January 6th. Anne Rice, you're really good at these little books that are not the actual vampire books, so.
But if you were wondering, does she take a long minute in this book to tell you again what happened in Memnoch the Devil? Yes, she fucking does. We didn't read Memnoch the Devil. She's not going to make me read Memnoch the Devil.
Nope.
But I have read a solid 100 fucking pages in the rest of these books about what happens in Memnoch the Devil. She obviously thinks that this is like her magnum opus, that was the best book she ever wrote, and that she's going to tell you about it in every single subsequent book.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is shortly before she did her Jesus books, right? Like before she did that super heavy turn into Catholicism.
Well, I mean, Memnoch is heavy theology.
Oh well, yeah.
And then I was wondering because there's like one part where she talks about angels and Pandora, right, or something like that, or I can't remember now.
Paul has to say, and
Yeah, there's a lot of there's like some. It feels like there's also some like serious critique of Christianity, like how like literally like how it evolved like from the beginning.
Specifically Pauline, like she does obviously
she's not a fan
not
of
like
Paul.
Paul.
Yeah, at all. Yeah.
Other than like
I wonder, Yeah. But
Man.
I feel like when I was looking at like a list when we were like doing this book that like there are like angel books that I didn't even know existed. Like there like she wrote some books about angels. I was like, okay, she went that way. Anyway.
Well, she wrote that Christ the Lord, like, was it a trilogy? Or she wrote several about like literally about the man Jesus. So I wonder if this was like the start of her research for that, or I mean, obviously she became very sincerely religious as she got older. Actually, the second, the next several mainline Vampire Chronicle books I have never heard of. It goes a while before you get to Prince Lestat and the Realms of Atlantis or whatever it is. And the funniest thing is, I didn't know I had read this book. There's one scene in this book that I finally got to, like, oh, I did read this book. Like, I would have read it like my freshman year of college, like when it came out.
I want to just preface everything
Yes, thank you.
She
finally, Anne, thank you.
It took a woman vampire to answer the question of how the vampire dick works.
And it's just a kind of thing you hold hands with.
We're gonna get into it.
We're gonna get into it, but it's wild. So this is now. I mean, she's written in the Vampire Chronicles books. Like, I know the Mayfair Witches books have a lot of female protagonists, but in the Vampire Chronicles books, she does not spend much time writing from the female perspective at all. Like, there's Jessie, back in Queen of the Damned. And but Merrick is always seen through Davis. Usually she writes about men and through men, and this is the first like really extended woman book, and I loved it. I thought
she should only do that.
I loved it.
Or she'd be like, just do this. Yes.
Yeah.
This is the best of her books, I think.
I think so too. I think it's my favorite. Yeah. I think it's my favorite. I said like Queen of the Damned is it was also my favorite. I mean, I love that book. Just obviously, but yeah, this one I was like, dang, all right, nice to be surprised.
And this book also has a lot to do with Queen of the Damned too. I mean, like it would be, it actually offers a lot of context in between, So honestly, if you're gonna read 3, maybe just read Vampire. Well, I guess you got to read Interview, but read Vampire Lestat, read Queen of the Damned, and read Pandora. And it's kind of a story about those who must be kept. Which are always like really interesting to me, like this ancient vampire shit. I love it.
So much to get into.
I know. So let's start. Okay. So who is Pandora? If you have read any of the other books, Pandora is one of those ancient vampires who's always running around, super independent. Yes, like you might hang out with her for like 6 years and then never see her again for 300. But like previously, we knew that she was ancient Roman. She was about a contemporary of Marius. And she would just show up and look at things sometimes. So
she didn't have a lot to do in the books. So what happens
everybody's favorite David Talbot.
If you've forgotten, he's no longer the old crusty Englishman. He's now a hot East Asian man, or Asian man, Southeast Asian, I believe. And he's just running around
so many times in talking about David Talbot in this one. Oh my God.
Yes, God, he's so hot. So he goes and asks Pandora. He's tracking her in Paris vampire all day long. And so she, they have a little bit of a dick swinging contest, and she wins by ripping the heart out of somebody and just sucking it like a damn maraschino cherry. She's tying a heart with the valves with the tongue, like it's a whole thing. And she's like, "You like that? Yeah, I did that for you." So. In true Anne Rice style, this book starts out real Jesus Christ. She talks about the notebook that he gives her to write down her life story. We hear about this notebook ad nauseum, like the greatest notebook I've ever seen. It's so beautiful. I'm like, can you not give her a typewriter or something? Anyway, so
Anne Rice is clearly by far at this point in her career uneditable. And so nobody ever stands up and says, "Hey, Anne, when people open up a book, they want to be engaged immediately."
Here's the thing, baby. If David Talbot was funny, it was like, "Hey, I gave you this Anne Rice Trapper Keeper to write your notes in." That's worth describing. I would love to know about that. But I don't care about the sexy pen. I don't care about the leather journal. So,
Yeah.
but here's the thing. Once we get past that, he had asked her to write her life story, and she's like, well, what is this for? Is this for your, like, band of super dorks that are the Talamasca? And he's like, no. He's like, I thought it'd be nice to start, like, a vampire archive, which lead with that. That's a great idea.
No, what you could have actually done is been like, my name is Pandora. David Talbot asked me to do my memoirs. Anyway, so I was born in Rome. I mean, like, you could have just done that.
Yeah.
But no, he's got to be like, I'm sure as you read in the book Memnock the Devil. Fuck you, Anna. It goes for like 20 pages before. Okay, so after all that, no, we're doing the same thing as she is. So you find out that, like, Pandora is a well brought up, very well educated young Roman lass named Lydia, actually. By the way, Marius told everybody she had been a sex worker and lied on her. Like, that's an interesting thing that she never goes back to. Anyway, so, like, it's all about, like, her early life. But the great thing is that for most of this book, she is mortal, but she is grown. She's in her 30s. She's been married twice, right? So she's not little.
What's so great is, like, her life as a Roman woman is
Daughter, yeah.
Her father is, a famous Roman senator. Like, you feel like it's one of those.
Yeah.
She's Beth and in love with her father. And she's one of these that's like, at my earliest memory is being 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But,
she got big Sarah energy. Yeah.
She's a little rapscallion who, like, has her father wrapped around her finger. I think her mother died when she was very young. And so again, she's kind of like, she is the princess of the family. So in true Marius fashion, she meets Marius when she is 10, and he's got that Clooney Caesar haircut, and she's like, I like this.
He's a blonde.
I'm gonna impress him by talking about Ovid or however. My audio book got really into saying it, and they were like, Ovid, and I was like, okay, all right, take it down a notch, lady.
I thought it was Ovid, but then
I thought it was Ovid too.
But then again, modern Latin pronunciation is not. And these days they're like doing that hard K thing, Kaiser and all that we didn't do when I was in school. And so kids today, man, kids today. Now, I just realized. Hold on one sec. We didn't do trigger warnings for this because I forgot.
Oh.
But we should mention. Okay, so there is a lot of like weird racism in this book and xenophobia, but it actually it doesn't seem. I think maybe Anne Rice is actually trying to imagine the world as seen through a Roman from Rome eyes, because like when we get into like the cult of Isis and that sort of thing, and when she sees instead of like Roman Isis, she sees like real Isis.
Egyptian,
she's
like,
yeah.
Well,
there is a lot of that
flippant talk of slavery too. Just like nonchalant, like slavery talk, where I was like,
but it all actually does jive.
Yeah,
it jives with the historical setting. So honestly, I think it is for most people not that upsetting because it does actually it makes sense for her worldview because she's a senator's daughter from Rome.
Yeah,
so we should just kind of throw that in there, But
so she meets him when he's like, I think he's 20, 25. By talking all this, like,
because this is not the Thornbirds. Yeah.
No, but they are set up to be kind of like star-crossed lovers. Like, he has asked for her hand, like, once she gets over the intent, he asks her to get or something, and the dad is still like, no, and he's like, you're a roaming historian.
Fair.
He kept saying roaming historian.
I know. He's like, that's no life for my daughter.
Right. So,
and that's true because what happens to him is that he ends up getting vamped in the woods and being a nature spirit for like
just for being curious. Just for being curious. His whole life changes.
You should listen to your dad.
He gets stuffed in a tree.
Yeah.
That stuff is his ass is always being stuffed in some kind of natural element. Like that's Marius's
He
thing.
just
Always falling in crevasses, being stuffed in trees, falling into bushes. I don't know.
Honestly, I
So-
love that story about how Marius got vamped, though. That's one of my favorite Anne Rice stories. So,
Yeah, it
you
is
know,
good.
That's fine. That's fine. But so, Pandora has a full
chilling.
immortal life. She has 2 husbands that I forget if she like outlives them or like they whatever. She doesn't have kids. So, of course, like, he can be
One
set aside
divorced her
and
for being barren. Remember?
Mhm.
Yeah.
One
yeah,
died,
she
I
couldn't
think,
have
and
kids.
one divorced her for being barren. I
And
don't
she
know
was
for
cool
sure.
with that
I can't
because she's just
remember.
like, you know what? I just want to fuck.
Yeah, she's like, I don't care. I don't want to have kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Being a widow or a divorcee is like way better, and I'm just gonna fucking do that.
So her life is going really well, and I mean it's very descriptive talking about her life in Rome. And so the old emperor has died. It's very much the old emperor who was cool has died.
Well, it's
now we
Augustus
gotta-
into Tiberius.
Yeah,
Right.
so
Everyone's
now-
like scrambling for the throne, or not the throne, I guess, but
And so
power.
Her father was all about again the old ways, simpler times. And so some rumbling start. Anyway, her father and her brothers all get sold out, and are assassinated by the new emperor's cronies. It's very harrowing. Like her father is like he's got on all of his stuff. He's got on all of his Roman gear, and he's gonna have
Puts
one
his
last
armor
thing, and
back
he's like,
on. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, you and these Jewish guys are gonna sneak you out of here and get you safe. And she's like, I don't want to go. And he's like, I don't give a damn what you want to do. She's like, but I don't want to go. She's like, you going? And so she's like, the last thing she sees,
and it never
is her
stops
father
running
fighting.
after this. Like she does not get a good night's sleep after this happens. The whole rest of the book is like, oh my god, let this woman just take like a 15. All right, like
Just
it's
a quick
frantic.
nap.
Yeah, just like she needs to get her head on straight because she does not afforded that opportunity. Although, I mean, I guess she has a little bit of time on the boat journey where they're not telling her where they're going.
But anyway, what's really cool is like when her father is like making the stand, he's ripped up the house that they live in is like basically like I'm gonna defend the name of my family and all the blood's gonna spill by you. But so she sees her father get murdered. She finds out that her brothers have been murdered and their families and her nieces and nephews and her sisters and all this, and is heartbroken, but not heartbroken enough to be like, hey, there's she's being escorted by these 2 Jewish men. One is the father who is obviously 115 years old, and one's like, she's like, hey. I'm pretty sad right now. You know what would make me feel better?
Well, luckily there's another Roman on the ship, and he hasn't got the scruples of the young Jewish man. So like she bangs that. So good for her. Get it? Stay young.
Yeah. So this little young Roman, God, I want to say he's probably in his teens, has also been secreted away, and she's like, it's time for me to make you feel better with my vagina, and so she just. She's like, you know what? I'm gonna bury this deep down, and I'll deal with this trauma later. But first I gotta get some
Jake appointment.
So priorities. And then once they drop the young guy off earlier, and she's like, hey, she's still trying it with the Jewish guy.
Jewish guy,
like,
yeah.
That guy
Jacob, is that his name?
She's like. Yeah. She's like, hey, Jacob, that kid was just super sad. So I just let him sleep in my bed every night and be sad. Nothing happened.
Because these are like decent dudes who were like her father, like business contacts of her father. And they had kind of like, her father had helped them out like when they had like a business loss. And so like they are going to the goddamn mad for her. Like, so they take her to Antioch and they are such straight dealers with her. Like, nobody had to be this straight of a dealer with her, right? And so they start to take her to the house they're supposed to take her to, which is another business contact of her father's. But it turns out that there's turmoil in that city, too, because, like, the emperor's exiled son has been murdered, and so these people are about to get murdered. So, like, the Jewish dudes are like, oh, no, we're going to go buy you a house that's not going to be a murder house. And so here's all your gems, here's all your jewelry, here's all your money, and here's some knives and shit. All right. Now you just hunker the fuck down in here and don't go anywhere. And like, go back.
Had an inventory. He was like, you
Yeah.
got enough food for 3 days.
Sign off.
He's like, just chill out. So her 3 days.
Well, she does actually.
No. Don't
She
tell
has
Pandora
an
what to do. She's
she has
not
an
gonna do it.
amazing 3-day crash out is what happens. Like she has the crash out for the ages. Like she is not sleeping. She is just rending her garments.
She needs to sleep.
Well, yeah.
Well, when
Her
she
behavior
sleeps,
for
she
the
has
rest
the
of the book.
dreams. We haven't even talked about the
Well,
dreams.
then
She has
how
vision
did
vampire dreams. She has vampire dreams
Okay,
sent to her as
when she was a
visions.
when she was a Roman lady, she was part of the mystery cult of Isis, which was a big thing, then. And but then, of course, had been they shut down the temple and killed all the priestesses or whatever. So then she was like not in the mystery cult of Isis, but
She's
it was
like,
a
not
big deal
me.
for her,
Never
like
mind.
socially, and it was like a really important outlet for her. So she really
she
cared
thought it
about
was a good time. She's like, you know what? It's a bunch of hoe bags. Like it's like loose women, and she's like, I wish I could be one of them.
it.
And
Like,
she,
honey, you kind of
part
are.
well, I think part of it was very much like kind of voyeurism at first, like something that she would go and do, and she could kind of play on the wild side, and
Because
then
of
go
course
be
it's a
a Roman
foreign cult,
lady.
but then of course in Rome being a thief of religions from all around the world, like it was a very Roman Isis there. So she starts having these dreams on the boat, and they're vampire dreams about the cult of Isis. And in this, she doesn't know this because she hasn't read the other Vampire Chronicle books, but we have, and so we know that she's seeing a.
Except for Memnoch the devil.
Yeah, we
think
have
every
not.
single one of them. Every single one of them had to read Memnoch the devil, so they could tell us about it later. It's like Anne was like, "All right, team, you're all gonna be able to talk about this other book because these fuckers aren't reading it, and they're gonna."
But I think that Anne expects you to have read these other books because she clearly thinks that you're going to know who Akasha is just by they don't say her name, just by knowing like, oh yeah, that's what's going on there. I guess you know.
I mean, it's kind of like it is kind of like an Avengers situation where it's like, is because I saw that other Avengers, so I know that that's the big purple guy. But
Yeah, it is like
so
that.
she has these crazy, like, really upsetting dreams, and she doesn't want to sleep. So after her 3-day crash out, she's like, "Well, all right,
Better go to church.
She's like, I've broken all the furniture. I need to go to church. I need to like get some slaves. I need to figure out my life. I can't just be sad sack.
So she dresses herself, but she doesn't really know how. And this is actually the part where I realized that I'd read the book.
So good, yeah.
So she's wearing all like silk veils and tunics, and they're sliding off, and she's got them pinned wrong. She doesn't know how to dress herself, and so she goes on the slave market.
All askew.
Oh my god, her hair is everywhere, and she's looking to buy to buy some slaves, and she sees like this dude who's got like.
Well, first she buys the 2 young female slaves who are like, she put no thought in it because she's like,
yeah, and then she's like, I never learned to tell them apart. It's fine. And then she bought him dresses, and she's like, yeah, I'm a good mistress. I'm amazing. And then they all cried at each other.
Yeah.
And then she sees this guy, and he's wearing a sign, like a dog shaming sign. Which says that he can speak all these languages and all. And she's like, well, can you really? Because like the guy who was like selling him is being an asshole to him. This dude has an ivory leg, like a beautifully carved, gorgeous, like he's, has an ivory prosthetic leg. And she has like the hardest time getting him to say if he actually speaks all these languages. But finally, his name is Flavius. And he's like, oh yeah, I do. And all this stuff. And she's like, yeah, but can you fuck? Which is, she's amazing. I love her so much. And
It's her main question.
Sorry.
He's very loyal to his like whoever owned him previously, and you kind of get the feeling.
Oh my god, I love this side plot going on.
No, I did not. I'll go with it
because like he lost his leg saving his master from a boar. He's been like, I don't know, because he doesn't seem like he's been enslaved very like with this owner like this new owner very long, because on the little board things are misspelled and she's kind of making fun of him about it. And he's like, well, I have like this much room to write. What do you want me to put? And he's very defensive, and she's asking him about his owner. He won't tell her who it is, but he's like, all you need to know is like, I'm ride or die for that dude. I'm ride or die even after he is dead. He's dead and I'm still riding. And so that's why I think there's more to it. And I think it might have been the other guy. But
I just kind of think that is like kind of the idea of the Roman slave, probably not the reality of enslavement in the Roman Empire, but like, but of course, like,
I felt like
Roman slavery is very different from American chattel slavery.
Right. Well, he also hadn't always been a slave, like he talks
No.
about being
Yeah.
so
He was, but so I mean,
much
right?
more. To me, he gave much more like Song of Achilles, like Persian boy being in love with a person vibes.
but
So that's just
his answer is no. I cannot fuck you. So
Yeah,
that's-
and like I also
he's like, I don't know. I've never tried it.
he's like, I've never used it on a woman. I mean, like that's basically what he says. Like I've never had a woman to use it on, and she's like, okay.
well, I mean, like
I
can
really
you certify quickly?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think she was gonna try no matter what, right?
Oh
But,
yeah. Oh yeah.
I really like that they didn't reveal his one leg until like later in the scene.
Mhm.
It was like we got to know him
Yeah.
a little
Not
bit
the
first,
person that she saw.
and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, he only
Okay.
has one leg, and he has what sounds like a very elaborate doll's leg.
Yeah.
Made for him.
But then she
You
said,
don't just get somebody's a fancy ass leg like that made.
Unless somebody loves you. It's fair.
Yeah,
It's fair.
That's like Lala fucking the married guy for a Range Rover on Vanderpump. So
You're absolutely right.
Got the Range Rover of fake legs. So I'm just saying.
In like what, like 4th century, or what was it, like?
Yes, and it's
2nd century.
Antioch.
It's not knee down. Like that motherfucker is articulated. I thought it was like I thought the whole thing was that it was like above the knee.
It was beautiful. Whatever
for him to get up and down with it.
I like the detail that she's like, Pandora notices that it wasn't made to look like an actual leg. It was made to be like elaborate and pretty.
Made to be beautiful.
I'll be quiet.
Yeah. And I love a man with a thing that's beautiful, right? But she is all right. So you know how in these Anne Rice books, I mean, I guess there's always sort of this ecstatic emotional element to it. This poor man is already doing emotional labor for her because they are both crying and screaming with tears in the goddamn marketplace. Like, to just go home and sleep, okay? Because everybody is crying. The girls are crying, Flavius is crying, everybody's crying, and he's like, you need to take me to your house and I will take care of you and I will make sure you get dressed right because you're embarrassing yourself and I can see your titties.
Oh, he thought she was a whore. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, I can tell this is all really expensive and this is bad, okay? So you clearly need somebody to take care of you. Just send me there, just give me the authority and I will handle this shit. And so she does. So she's she's good hirer. She's, good, she's management material because she can hire.
She can buy a man.
And then she sends him, she does not go home to like, let me change, let me take a bath, whatever. She's like, no, I'm going to go right to the temple. And she has like an ecstatic freak out at the temple too, because the temple is very Egyptian. We're in Antioch. So, we're no longer in Rome.
She cannot handle that eyeliner.
No, it's too much.
She hates a cat eye more than
And a wig. She hates a wig. Which is funny because lots of Roman ladies wore wigs in different times.
but cat-eyed a wig.
Well, but she loves her hair though.
The reason is like Egyptian style. Huh?
She does love her hair.
Oh, she loves her hair, sure. Yeah, so she's like, flipping out because she's like, maybe this isn't.
Oh, wait a minute. So here's the thing too. She has fled Rome because like her family is considered traitors to the crown, right? So bitch needs to keep a low profile. So what she is not doing is keeping a low profile.
Oh God,
no, not at all.
With her tits out,
screaming
like blah blah blah. And so she's changed her name from Lydia to Pandora. And so the first thing that she does is goes to the temple of Isis and proceeds to tell a complete ass stranger her whole fucking life story.
Exactly who she is.
She's like, I'm initiated into the cult. What are you gonna do? Like, girl, come on. You were the worst at being like. So,
but she tells.
Like, well, let's get.
Yeah, she tells him her
she
blood
gets her cleaned up. And then they're like, well, let's clean you up. And like, she's like, well, I'm glad to have a dress not falling off, but why do I have on this whore eyeshadow with makeup? She hates the makeup. So then she meets with another priest and he's like, come on, come back in here. And she goes into this room, and you're like,
yeah.
you're like, is she gonna finally go home and go to bed? Like, because this has been.
I know, she was making me tired.
I was so upset for her. Yeah.
By this time,
she's making
what's his
bad
face?
choices.
Flavius, bad leg and all, has like gone to the house, changed, found it like, and he's back, and he's like, "You ready to go?" She's like, "Nah, I gotta go talk to these guys." And he's like, "All right, I guess I'll just stand here." She's like, "Good." So she goes into a room. She goes into this room, and it's like the Isis priestess, the Isis priest, and then there's a
shadowy figure.
Yeah.
A shadowy figure in the corner. She's like, "Well, who the fuck is that?" And he's like, "Hey," he's trying to be mysterious. She's not having it.
But you know exactly who it is.
Yeah.
Everyone knows exactly who it is.
Yeah.
She knows who it is. She's like, "Dick appointment."
Well, actually doesn't know. I don't even think that happens yet, because she goes and has like sort of a weird ecstatic vampire dream in the temple, and the priest said, "You need to come with me after you have whatever weird ecstatic vampire dream you're gonna have." And she's like, "Yeah, I'll get on that." But then she leaves, and she runs into Flavius out there. And
is that when the Lucius thing happens?
That will not. Yeah.
Two things happen. Two things happen. So she has a weird debate with this guy who's got some students. Like, it's like this.
Oh yeah, she's like,
yeah,
let me spawn in and be like the cool like scholar bitch to these, and she's like enjoying it to no
She's
end.
like, you didn't think women read? Guess what?
Yeah,
buddy.
like,
y'all can come to my house and we'll have a salon. And by my house and a salon, I mean dick appointment.
Yeah, exactly. She's like, how many of you can fuck?
Yeah,
because that's really what I'm after right now.
And we can talk about all
Oh my
that
god,
later. Yeah,
she's so horny.
I
I love it.
As she's leaving, she looks over and she's like, "Who the fuck?" She's like, "Hold the fuck on." She's like, "That's one of my brothers." And she's like, "That's the one I don't like. That son of a bitch."
She's like, "I thought you were dead. I thought you were
Get
dead."
out of here, whore. And she's like, "Who the hell are you talking to me that way?" And so about this time, after her brothers called her a whore, and she's been like, "Where's your family?" And he's like, "They didn't make it." He's like, "I'm here with my like side piece." And she's like,
Priscilla. I remember.
You're so mad.
His mistress.
Yes. And
so mad about it.
She's
No, I'm
about
just
to
kidding.
go off on him, and then the priest shows back up, and he's like, "Hey, we got to go back in here." She has not gone home yet.
No.
So,
she gets so tired.
She gets her ass dragged back into the temple, and that's where she has the like meeting with the shadowy figure about these blood dreams. And they're talking about, they're like, "There's a burnt, gross thing running around the city killing people. So watch out for that."
And again,
like, okay,
you, the reader, if you've read the others, know all about that. But she doesn't. She takes it pretty chill.
She's like, okay, all right.
This is like not terribly long after those who must be kept, like keepers, dragged them out in the sunlight, and most of the vampires died who weren't old enough. Like, you know, that was not terribly long before this. So therefore, like, there's some of these like ancient, like just crusty vampires running around. But she doesn't know this.
No, not at all.
She's like, "Cool, okay, so you've told me about the gross thing. I'll be on the lookout."
Yeah, Bolo.
They're like, "No." They're like, "You're not taking it serious." She's like, "What do you want me to do?"
And then she has this convo with Marius, and where it comes out that he's a vampire, and you know what her question was? Does it still work?
Well, she was like, "Does it?" She's like, "I see you've gotten bigger everywhere else. Did that get bigger?"
No,
you're so hard all over.
Did it add any inches anywhere else?
Gold.
She's all like, "Me."
She's just not subtle at all.
No. I mean, like, you know what? Why should she be?
Exactly, man. She's just on it. I love
Marius
it.
now can read minds and talk to her telepathically. At this point, he's like, "I'll handle your brother." And she's like, "That's not your business to handle. I've got
That's
it."
right.
And so Flavius is like, "I'm very worried, mistress. We got to go." She's like, "Everything is fine." And you're like, "Oh my God."
Lucius has brought like a whole squadron of cops, all right? And then this is so boss. Oh my God. Pandora walks up to the head cop, and she like takes his hand in her hand and is like, "You look like you fought at the battle of like wherever across the Rhine." He's like, "Ma'am, I..."
Basically like pulls up, if you were gonna do this, like if I were to go up to a New York City cop, and I would be like, I'd have a 50-50 to be like, oh, you're either part of like the Knights of Columbus or the Agent Order of the Hibernia, and my dad was a member of the Agent Order of the Hibernia, and blah blah blah. And he's like, well, now I'll do anything you want because you know of the fraternal organization.
Will nobody help the widow's son? No, seriously, like in South Georgia, I'd be like, so my maiden name is Sarah Shiver. Are we cool or not? You know, and it'd be like, oh, well, we can't fuck because I'm your cousin. I'd be like, yeah, I figured. Like that would be what would happen. She completely finesses this shit. It is not a vampire thing. It is not even like a class thing or a money thing. It is entirely her just like finessing this man. She is working this man.
Right word. Yeah.
It is so good. Oh my god! And she gets them to murder the fuck out of her brother Lucius.
Out of her piece of shit brother.
Yes.
He calls her a bitch and a whore. Watched his wife and children be murdered and ran away with his mistress. And then like I'm just like,
well, what she does is she takes out like her arm knife real slowly, and then he like goes for his knife, and they all stab him. It is so good. And Marius is like, well, I guess you didn't need my help, and she's like, no, I fucking did not.
I told you I didn't.
And then she's like, just throw him in the river.
Yeah. Nobody wants that.
I love like later too. I just love that she like they talk about rhetoric so much that it was like all about the rhetoric. I was like, yes, babies, you talked them into that. Good job.
Good job. See, I mean, that's one of those like high arts of Roman civilization. It was rhetoric. She learned fucking rhetoric.
So she finally goes home.
Well, no, Marius says, you're leaving tomorrow. And she's like, the fuck I am. I have not slept. And also her brother tried to make her leave too. And she has this awesome, beautiful house. We just want her to enjoy the house. We want her to get to decorate the house. We want her to like move into the house, to get some sleep in the house. No, she doesn't get any goddamn sleep in the house. Not even a little.
So she gets back to the house right before dawn. She sleeps for 30 minutes. The blood demon wakes her up. And then she's off and running again.
She's like, I'm out.
No, she actually says, Flavius, bring me my sandals. By the time Flavius has her sandals, she's hair everywhere, and he's holding her sandals. This man,
with one leg.
Because what she's doing, she's like, I need parchment, and so she writes all this shit out, and she's like, Flavius, can you read this shit? Is it like legible? And he's like, honey, that's in hieroglyphics, which is she does not think that she reads or write hieroglyphics. So now she's like sort of being possessed by Egypt. The whole fucking country. The whole goddamn thing.
That's fair. Yep.
So, and I mean, she's written out her whole dream in beautiful, ancient hieroglyphics. And so she's like, okay, fucking fine. And she runs and she goes to like the bookseller street, and she's like, I want to talk.
Hold on. Here's what this little conniving bitch does. Read this, and they're like, no, we can't read it. She's like, where's Marius? They're like, oh, he just comes tonight. And she's like,
Where he stay at?
And she's like, she's like, oh, he buys all the Egyptian books, right? And they're like, yeah.
This is so good.
And she just takes off again. By this time, Flavius is like, here are your fucking shoes. And he's like, because she's like, oh, I realized maybe I shouldn't be running like where there's open sewers. And so she gets her shoes on, and then she just is running around the bookseller like an insane person. Egypt.
Marius. Marius.
Egypt, Marius. And finally she finds this old guy, and she's like, can you read this? And he's like, sorta. And she's like, good. And she's like, where does Marius live? And he tells her. She's like, all right, let's go. Flavius is like, Jesus Christ, woman.
Take a beat.
And I mean, she had, at the booksellers, she had an absolute like panic attack. Like, he is holding her down. She is like, has like, just like, she really needs to spend like a week, but she can't. She can't. I mean, Marius was going to come for her anyway. Like, he had her on his agenda that day.
I respect her urgency. I'm going to tell you right now. Like, I am not going to sit around and wait on shit. Like,
I'm going to take a nap.
I want to go get it. I'm gonna go get it. Like,
So
I can nap later.
Well, she gets from this bookseller where Marius' place is because she's like, oh, well, he told me to send this to him. And he says, well, yeah, but you can't do it during the day. You just have to leave things with the servants, the boys. Leave things with the boys. And she's like, oh, he'll open to me. And so she goes and she's dragging fucking Flavius behind her to this like amazing
he lives outside of the city.
It's like up a fucking hill. Yeah, exactly.
It's Lake Murray. Yeah. So she gets there and she pounds on the gates, and Flavius is like, lady, we can't do this. And these two catamites come out, and it's fair to call them catamites. Okay, they're obviously purchased for their looks. They're the predecessors of Armand's little roving band of young men. You know, beautiful young men come out, and they're like, yeah, he doesn't do the thing in the daylight. And she's like, yeah, well, guess what, bitch? And she climbs the fence, and Flavius is like, lady. And then she tells Flavius, like, okay, so if the burn fucking vampire thing comes up, what I need you to do is kill it. Fire will do it. And he's like, what?
Well,
what the fuck?
Like, it is definitely coming. Like,
it's
definitely coming. So just get ready.
And I'm gonna hop this
fence. Be here soon.
And the boys are crying because like they're terrified of their vampire master. But she's like, it's fine.
She's like, he's not gonna fuck with you. He's gonna be mad at me. And then they're like, no. They're like, yes, but you can't sleep there, madam.
She's just tromping all over that house. Like,
and they're not allowed to sleep on that couch. That is Marius's like reading couch, and they're not. It's like Dad's chair. They are not allowed on Dad's chair. And she's like, I'm all sleep on it. So in other words, she has to wait anyway. Like she could have waited at her house, but she decided not to.
Marius's couch. Yeah.
Marius's couch.
With the two little boys.
And this is cool. Like she's looked around the house, and there's all these crazy slab doors she can't open, and there's nothing in the house. Like they don't have any food even really. Like the boys just have everything delivered, and they're obviously
it's like the Cullen mansion in Twilight. It very much is.
Yep.
There's no beds because
like
stage furniture.
Yeah.
Stage furniture, the kitchen that they don't use, and the little boys are like, he always just
Okay, well, they're
food.
not little. Let's say they're teenagers. Let's be clear. Let's not.
The way that she wrote them, they felt like they were 8 years old.
I mean, not quite age of consent, but not children.
Yeah,
It's I mean, we're gonna let it go. I mean, this is what happens in Rome. Yeah, we already read the Vampire Armand, which was way more, by the way. Oh my god,
we've been with Armand. Okay,
yeah.
Here's what's fun.
Everybody's
so she wakes up. The damn underground doors start opening, but this motherfucker is still like doing whatever. He's doing his morning ritual. The doors are open. The kids are freaking out, and all of a sudden, Flavius is like, "Hey, the bird thing's coming! I couldn't stop it." And this thing is spry. Like this thing is like.
And Pandora's like, "Boys, go down there and grab some fucking fire." And the boys are like, "What?"
She's like, get some torches.
Get some torches. And she's not very helpful. And Marius is like, everybody's kind of confused, I guess, about this. So, I mean, has Marius, like, I think maybe before that, Marius took her down there and she saw Akasha and Enkel because she
hasn't seen them yet.
No, but she saw the fire. She knew there was fire down there. So I don't.
But because the door opened and she saw that the stairs had like a torch. She hasn't seen anything yet. So, like. The burn thing,
Akbar.
Yeah, sorry about that, y'all.
Grabs onto her and is all like, got her, and she's like, your bones, and is punching it. But like,
she does not give up. She has no learned helplessness. It's great.
I love her so much.
But he's biting her. He is biting her.
He
her blood.
Sucking
and
her
she's like, she's got the elbows.
She's like
finally
throwing
gets
elbows.
His ass up the stairs. He finally gets his ass up the stairs. I don't know what took so long, but he's like, all right, come on, let's go pick her up. We're going down the stairs. You want to talk to the queen?
Well, because he's holding her hostage. Akbar is like, I will drain her in a heartbeat. I've come to see, and nobody calls them those who must be kept. That must be something that Marius came up with,
Akbar,
and,
Yeah, Akbar reveals that, like, this is all, like, he's participated in, or he thinks he's participated in this because he's, like, followed Pandora, and he's like, he was hoping she would be bait to, like, Marius and all this. Like,
and which actually, she was. So Akbar is actually, like, effectively holding her hostage against Marius to say, like, you're going to take me
He's
down.
got the fangs to the neck. It's one of those gun to the head.
He's already like drunk a lot, or she's getting real loopy. As if she weren't loopy before. She is super manic through like this entire part of the book.
So Marius is like, "Come on," and so he comes downstairs and
Yeah, she's really judgy about wigs, which is weird because in all those tomb paintings,
she does not mind the Egyptian makeup in this.
No.
No.
And so he's like, "All right, well, you know what? Give her to me. You can go ask the queen. Go talk to her." And she's like, "No, protect the queen. Protect the queen." And the queen just like strong arms Akbar's head and squashes it like a grape. Like does the grape squash. And she's like, "Well, shit.
Yep.
That bitch didn't need protected."
Well, it was handled. And so that's when Marius vamps her because she's dying. She got, but then immediately, because like Marius's blood is fine, whatever. But then Akasha does the thing where she never moves, but every so often she'll move and she'll open up her arm and then invited Pandora to drink from her, which is why Pandora is cool, not like Louis.
Do you think it was like a finger or was it a whole hand?
I feel like it was a whole hand.
No,
it was just like this. And then I feel like it was like the fucking Doctor Who fucking angels where you like don't even see it move, but then like all of a sudden it was like like come here.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway.
Stuck out of my neck.
So she gets a drink out of Akasha and immediately is like, well, she's like, yes. I mean, it's basically like she got like vampire cocaine speed put in her.
Like she didn't
already.
Like she was already on like fucking meth, So then she has her vamp transformation. Now, granted, we didn't have to find out about how she shit her pants, but we did hear how she perioded her pants. So
yeah, apparently all her fluids left her womb.
Yeah,
didn't like that.
I kind of enjoyed that, but what I liked that she decided.
Who hasn't been there?
We'll talk about it.
Right.
Like I guess with consent.
Day 2.
She decides she's like becoming a vampire. Like once you're over the ecstasy of things, it sucks. And she's like, you know what's gonna help with this? And she just grabs Marius's dick and just shoves it inside. And it's like,
and there's like visions. Like she's like has a vision of them getting Roman married at the same time. So it's kind of hard to tell what's actually happening. Pretty sure the dick is though.
So we find out how that works. And I guess we'll get into that later. But like, and
she
can
move, but it's still marble, yeah.
But she's like, this isn't any good.
But she's still like, I'll take it.
I mean, it's better than nothing,
right?
Right. Like it's just.
But so she's vamped, but she is still like on a 12-week meth bender off because she's like, Marius, we had to start a religion. And Marius
God.
Oh my God. You've got to calm the fuck down. And also don't trust them. They're not what you think they are, okay? Everything that's been put in your head.
He's so condescending about it.
Oh my God.
She's like, here's the deal. The queen wanted me to come find you so we could get married so you wouldn't be a sad sack alone. And really, so if you fell into a fucking crevice,
someone could rescue you,
if you
dumbass.
tripped on a giant mushroom, if you like got eaten by a whale, whatever else could happen to you, somebody could get you.
Akasha knew that Marius was thinking about putting them out in the sun again. Marius was thinking about being done, even though Marius has only been doing this for like 10 years. Marius is like, you know what? I should really put paid to all this shit. And Akasha, she doesn't like what's going on with her eternities of sitting there on a chair. Like, her hip flexors are super tight, but, and she hates her husband too. But at the same time, she doesn't want to be done with it. So she picked out Marius some pussy so that Marius would not kill her. And I was like, okay. All right. I mean, I always liked Akasha. I know Akasha's not a good guy or nothing.
I feel like she was so underserved at the end of that book
super villain. Thing. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So
I would have liked more books where Akasha was a threat and we got more whatever. I would have too.
having a large stomach.
Say, like the first night that she goes to sleep with Marius in his coffin, she's like, she the same way you would hold hands with somebody, she like sticks it in, like in this very, like, you're just gonna go to sleep like that.
It's so wild.
And
It's
she's
like,
like, I just want the comfort, I know it's not, we're vampires now and shit, but yeah, she's like, no, I expect to go to sleep with you. This is like in this marble appendage.
Well, it's still so weird because it's like it hardens, right? It hardens.
No, it's
but
always, it's the marble is, they're always talking about marble.
I know, but what I'm saying is it's not. It's hard as in it's marble, but it's not up. It's not.
Oh yeah, she moves it around the way that you would if it were like a Barbie leg, like a Barbie.
Yes, that's what I was saying. It's completely.
Like maybe it clicks. I don't know.
Yes, that's what it's. But I'm so glad to finally know
Yes,
how it works.
Thanks.
That you can maneuver it, like like a
Yeah,
tripod.
it's not frozen. It's not like
No.
a statue. I mean, the same
No,
way
but it's
with
like
the
one of
legs,
those
right?
little, like one of those little tripods that you
Yeah.
are like those little spider lamps, so you can move it around, but it's hard.
Yeah.
And I love knowing that because I was like,
leg.
it couldn't be perpetually like hard because then they would always be showing through their pants. But it just hangs, but it's physically hard. So there you go.
Yeah.
Everyone.
I mean, you can
now know how they work.
orientation. Yeah.
Yay.
It's like a.
Yeah, but if you rip it off, I assume it's like Barbie's head. That if you put it back on, it never quite.
Well, I don't know. I
You
guess
know the
could
Barbie
do
with
it.
the head.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what's up with that. So anyway,
Yeah, like when you
Pandora.
mess up her reticulated motion, and
Yes.
she can only just go.
Ah.
Yeah.
So now that Pandora is sleeping in a coffin with Marius and has like befouled, a small area of land, and is now a vampire, you would think that now that she's had a good day's rest, but no, she's like, Marius, we have to restart the Akasha religion. And Marius was like, oh, fucking God, I thought you would go to stop doing this. And so then we see Akasha kill King Tut. It was like, forget tuberculosis. It was Akasha. It was always Akasha. Okay.
Tore 'em apart like sticks.
Yeah, like
Jesus.
sticks.
I think they would have seen that in the
You
movie.
know what? Maybe if that bitch had settled down a little bit, she wouldn't have been thrown into the sun.
Yeah,
There was no call for that. What was the reason? Like, he was just asking questions. She could have ensorcelled him to be on her side. Like, this is short-sighted business. She's all like, little kingdoms, little king. Like, what are you talking about, you fool?
Pandora wouldn't have done that. Pandora would have finessed that shit. Yeah.
Pandora would have, yeah.
So actually, Akasha shows well. Oh my God, if Pandora had really started up the cult of Akasha, oh my God, we would still be worshiping Akasha, wouldn't we? We'd be like going to Akasha every Sunday.
That would be a successful Queen of the Damned book. Is what
I would read the fuck out of that. Oh my God. So, but like, she won't like let this go, and Marius is like, okay, what you have to understand is that they are not whatever the fuck you think they are. That's not what they are. Okay, they don't move. They just do that. They do what you've seen them do. I think maybe they're not good. I'm really not sure.
So he gets, okay, this is my question. So he gets into the lore.
I was wondering if that had something to do with Menkare and Muhammad.
Muhammad, yeah.
So, like, I'm so interested because I'm like, if she ties that in, because that's what I'm really old stuff.
Well,
But I
that's
thought-
also like
No, you go ahead.
Pandora's
Sorry.
last story in the book too,
Yeah.
which I know I'll get to, but like that
Yeah.
last story about the being or whatever.
Oh, that was so interesting. Oh, we will get to that.
Yeah.
That was like
Okay, yeah, but like
Away.
it's all reminiscent, right?
But
it all-
so what I
all
thought you were gonna
connected.
say is that there's a throwaway line in this where where Pandora, being smarter than all these fucking dudes, is like, well, what do they want? Like, what do these demons want? Like, what is the thing that is in you when you're a vampire? What does it want? And he says, well, I think maybe what they want is to see the world, right? They want to see people. They want to see what people are about, and they want to bring back information.
Yeah, they every time they drink from somebody, they get smarter.
And I'm like, well, that's the first time we've had this concept come into these books, and we've read quite a few of them. Like, let's talk about that more. And of course, the book doesn't. But like, oh, what an interesting to learn, huh? Yeah. I thought that was so interesting. So, but the biggest thing that happens once Pandora becomes a vampire, and she does finally get convinced, like, oh, okay, maybe we don't need to start a new religion, although this is kind of where religions come from. We were in the Middle East, whatever. They talk about gender a lot in a fascinating way. They have arguments for 200 years. And I mean, some of it's like Pandora will go and see this dude, Paul. And then Marius is like, why the fuck did you do that, you dumb bitch? And she's like, you think I'm really fucking smart until I say something you don't like. So I did dog ear a page, not a sex page. This is what she says at one of these things, because he loves having a trophy smart lady, but he doesn't actually like having to have an argument with a smart lady. Right. Yeah. So this is when she's like, I want to restore her worship. And then he's like, are you out of your fucking mind? You know? And she says, idiot. You dare sling your insults at me? You think you brought a slave into your household? You haven't even brought a wife.
Yeah, so good.
She's so good.
I don't know if that's, I don't know if that's the same time, but like I wrote down, and I wrote down very few things, but I wrote down, she said something like, I can walk through a myth and back out of it. And I was like, God damn, bitch. That's right, you can. Like, she was like...
She's so good.
Yeah, he's all like, I think you're really smart and cool, but I also think you're too emotional. And she's like, bitch, you don't have to perform gender anymore. We are fucking vampires. It's time for you to read Judith Butler. And he's like, what? And then she's like, fuck you. Like, all the time. Like, this is like their conversation.
I know.
She's like,
you're a little baby.
She's like, we already killed the bird thing. What are you talking about? It's not safe. She's like, I want to go out. A powerful thing.
Oh yeah, that totally
was so good.
Of like,
and she let her hair down.
What would you? Yeah, we're like, oh my god, that reminded me so much of like.
If there was a curfew for men, what would you do? And everybody said,
run at night. Like, run at night. Exactly. Like, it made me think about this. So she's like, I want to walk without the word. And I was like, girl, we all get it. Oh my gosh. Exactly. Like,
see, Marius is a classic example of, they all say they want a bad bitch, but then they can't handle a bad bitch. All right?
Well, it's the fact, but here's because also that he fell in love with her and decided to marry her. Like, memorize it and say it and parrot it. And that's what he wants. And it was inappropriate stuff too.
It was like sex poetry. And he was like, that's for me.
But it's like, it was this, like, he likes the pretense of her intelligence.
I think also to him, that knowing Marius's background, knowing that he ended up with the Celts and got stuck in a tree for a moment, I think Pandora was Rome, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
His idea of what Rome was, and the idea of an educated senator's daughter and all this stuff. But then the idea that, like, when you have an educated woman, she'll have opinions and ideas.
Actual opinions.
That are, and they come from the exact same place as your opinions and ideas because you've read the same books. Like, well, he wasn't ready for that, right? And so when
she would like, when she would call him out on, like, pouting and acting like a child, it was so good. Like,
and she's like, he's gonna cry again. Don't worry, Marius is gonna cry again.
So Flavius.
Wait. Yeah, Flavius. Meanwhile, he has no idea if she's alive or dead. This poor bastard can't climb the wall. He can't climb anything. He's just like, hello.
He's only got one leg.
Because he got like cut up by the burned vampire by Akbar.
Hello, anyone. And she's like, oh,
she's dead. He's crying because everybody's crying all the time in this. And she's like, oh gosh, it's okay. You come on in and you'll be in charge of the catamites. It'll be great.
She picks him up. She just picks his ass up and carries him.
She doesn't know
And
what
it's
the key is.
she tells the cat about it. She's like, "Hey, I got you. I got another good looking one.
I got
She's
you a
like,
daddy.
She's like,
Yes.
make it. She's like, make him up a bed, and
Headmaster.
they're like, wee. So yeah,
We're so happy to have somebody to be in charge. Oh, thank God. Somebody, a grown up has appeared. Thank you. Thank you,
He can
mister.
walk in the daylight.
Oh, this is so
good.
good. He'll know how to cook.
now I will say, like, Marty, yeah, her house, which sounded amazing until you get to Marius's house, and
Oh,
then,
it
like,
sounds
she
real
does
good.
she gets a house upgrade for sure,
Mhm.
show.
Well, then they they have kind of a lovey-fighty relationship for a long time until Flavius dies because he is, he grows older and mortal, and Marius is like, okay, Marius like has a great friendship with Flavius. It's a really big bro thing. He's like, I can't fucking watch this. You gonna stick around for this? And she's like, yeah, because I'm tougher than you. And of course, the second
Right.
Marius leaves, she vamps Flavius because thank you. We need more vampires like Flavius and fewer like Louis.
You cannot introduce the one-legged Greek man who's got
Afraid that he was gonna die. I hope he got his life.
an
Right,
ivory-ass
unlife.
leg. No, he does come up in future books.
Oh, I'm
because
so
I was
excited
like,
about that. Oh my God.
I was like, this is the man. Like, this guy is like, he rivals Lestat for like the series BDE.
Oh yeah, I love this guy.
I can't believe these two haven't met and they haven't tried to mess with the hell. Like, I feel like Lestat would be like, let's try it because
Let's do
what are
this.
you talking about? Like,
Listen, in the book, because I just finished it today, I think it goes like they're talking about Flavius dying, and then Flavius, how do we say it? Flavius, I just forgot. And anyway, and then Pandora says, like in her voice, it's like, Marius proclaimed that we couldn't make any more vampires, and she's like, I never questioned him about it. And then Flavius died, and I made him a vampire.
Yeah.
Basically, how the book goes. Like, it's just like she's like, I never said anything, and then I just did what I wanted.
Yeah.
I was like howling when I got that.
Oh,
I was just like, oh my God, girl.
So they go on for a couple centuries. Like they go on through the Pauline business and all this shit. Well, eventually,
but yeah, Marius does send. He's like, Flavius, you gotta go. Like, and Flavius dips off. And
Flavius is like, fuck you people. I'm immortal now. You are too much. No, I have things that I would like to do that are not you people. Oh my fucking God. I'm gonna go. You cannot sleep with my dick in you. Jesus Christ. And so he leaves. He bounces. And then like a couple centuries later, after we've been through like early Christianity and shit, these they had thought that every so often they would kill a ragged ass blood drinker, and they thought that they killed them all, right? That they had wiped them all out. Well, I mean, it's a big planet, right? So suddenly these 5 show up in like raggedy robes, and what these are early cult members of that whole like Paris, Armand, we're here to kill, to be the scourge of humanity cult. And they're there, and Marius is like, fuck, this shit will never fucking end. What are we supposed to do? And Pandora's like, okay, I gotta plan this out. We're gonna kill him. And Marius is like, we can't do that. And she's like, what is your other idea, bitch? So they do their plan, and it takes forever to burn them. This is kind of awfully visceral because they're young, And then she's like, okay, so what are we gonna do? Because there's gonna be more, right? And they kind of have their last argument, although she doesn't know it's their last argument. And okay, so here's my logistical question. Motherfucker. She's been saying, let's see the world. And he's been saying, well, we've got those who must be kept. We've got, and she's like, I want to see the world. And he's like, well, she goes to sleep in the dawn. And during the day, when she is asleep, he has those who must be kept, I guess, crated up and left. What the fuck?
Well, she left for 3 days, remember? They had a big fight, and she like bailed for a while. Like she was gone for a few days.
I thought she just went to sleep.
No, she like took off and did some wild shit. But anyway, you're right. He does like cart them off in the middle of the day. Like,
and
it's not,
like, why would that ever be safe? Why would you trust the dude with the wagon?
I don't know.
Yeah, because she says like he did it during the day. Like he did it when I was asleep. So
she went back at night and they were gone.
Yeah. So like, how did I assume he put them in? Like he had crates delivered, I guess, with straw in them and whatnot. I guess to keep them comfortable. Did he pick them up and they're still chair shaped? Like, he put them in with chairs.
Sarah, they just put him in those boxes like when you like transport artifacts, like archaeological artifacts. They just put them in those like crates and just like carried them with the poles.
Like the storage pods that you can have at your house.
Yeah.
And like they just ship them chair and all. Like they just slide it in there with some packing.
Like a motorcycle trailer. Just like push it in.
It almost has to be. How would you, if you thought that one beam of sunlight on these people would kill your immortal life forever, would you trust that to two guys in a truck?
But he's also like always halfway suicidal. Again,
True.
He was shoved in a
That's
tree.
Fair.
He fell into a crevasse.
I think he's doing it to himself at this point. Yeah.
I mean, he did threaten to put them in the sun.
Yeah, he's
a couple of times.
The funny thing is, and this is so human. He says, "Yeah, I'm gonna put him in the sun, like when I get tired of traveling, or like when I've read all the books, or when I've tomorrow, or like next."
None of them are ever like, "Hey, this is awesome." Like, I'd be like, "Hey, this is awesome."
Lestat is all the time. Lestat's like, "This is amazing."
But I think Pandora is too. Like, I think that's a thing. And like, she reminded me so much of Gabriel, who I also think like there's a lot of shit going, or Gabrielle, sorry. But there's a lot of shit going on with her, but she also like really enjoys being a vampire. She's just like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Later.
It's so good.
Because, Gabrielle was like really suffering under the yoke of patriarchy, whereas like Pandora was kind of flourishing under the yoke of patriarchy.
Yeah.
So she's, I think, maybe a little more well-adjusted people.
She made it work for her.
Yeah, she absolutely
ends abruptly. Like,
okay,
it just is like,
so this is wild how this book ends. So what it does is like she and Marius had their final, for now, breakup, where like he literally moves out, including his the fucking furniture he brought to this fucking marriage. He takes his Xbox, he takes his one shirt, and he goes. And she's like, "Well, fuck you." And then she spends eternities, probably not alone, looking for that dick appointment. And then centuries later, she runs into him in like the Enlightenment. And she's with, Anne, she's with an unnamed Asian vampire. Anne, what are you doing here?
Who has a hold over her?
What is going on? She doesn't like this guy, but she's like with him. Like, she could have murdered this man in a heartbeat. She's of Rome, bitch. All right. But like, no, it meets at a party and like, oh my God, Marius. But they like have a weird thing. And she's like, oh, so you're still doing the those who it must be kept thing. And she starts to go to his like house that he has rented, but she can feel them, and she's like, "Oh God, oh God." Yes, it's like
in-laws again.
Yeah, or your ex is still.
I love that marriage.
Your ex
really is do it.
Thing like your ex is still doing the thing, and you thought like, okay, I still want to fuck him. So, and then you get there and you're like, oh my God, no, I can't do it in front of all the dolls or like whatever, And she's like, no, I'm sorry, turn this carriage around. Just drop me at my place. And then later she's like, no, why did I do that? And so she writes him a note and has the coachman take him the note. He doesn't get the note. She says, meet me in Moscow.
Yeah, it's like really romance. Like I kept thinking that.
So
like, this is a legitimate romance.
Yeah.
Like it's having those tropes. It's fucking Sleepless in Seattle, for God's sake. It's like meet me at the place, like do the thing, and then like
if he wanted to, he would, but she never knew. So I guess she always thought he didn't want to, so he wouldn't, because he never got the note, and he found it way later, and he was like, oh, damn it. But I guess they ran up into each other on Queen of the Damned, but they didn't stick together. But vampires don't.
No.
They don't. Once you've lived for a long enough time.
But see,
he fell into a crevasse for like 3
I mean,
years.
he was
That's
there.
His damn excuse. Like, where were you when I wanted to?
Why didn't you return my text, you dick?
I was in a crevasse. Bullshit, you were in a crevasse.
Okay, but I'm a hopeless romantic, so I like to imagine like Marius and Pandora like 1,000 years in the future, just like together, like maybe in a little spaceship or something, or like on Mars.
Has Armand like rolled out from underneath the
I don't know. Armand walked into the sun. Remember, Armand's gone.
No,
he's not dead.
No, Armand lived and lived and lived and lived under the porte cochere or whatever.
He's fine. Here's the thing. He walked into the sun.
I forgot.
Yes,
I thought he was like
out. Sonata.
God damn it! I forgot.
Everybody everybody thinks he's dead. They think he is dead because they saw him walk into the sun. Now, what happened is that he got trapped on the roof of a building for about 6 months.
Okay, I forgot. Okay.
Like an awning.
Shit, I forgot.
And then remember he like ate a drug dealer?
Oh
He
my
ate
God.
a dirty cop. Oh my God.
I forgot about those episodes.
The girl
Yep.
that was like the harp
piano.
And then the little like
Oh right, brought him back. All that. Yeah.
Ben,
Oh my God.
Palestinian boy.
That whole part of that novel. Oh
Yes,
my word.
He was like the Middle Eastern short round, always like
Yes. And then like was stout vamped like the both of them, and our mom was like, "What? Why did you do that?" She plays piano too good.
No, I completely forgot the end of that book.
Yeah, well, you should have. The really good part of that book was the first half. Okay. So I was afraid that Pandora was gonna be like Armand, where the first half is amazing historical shit and is so fucking good. It is about walling little boys up into monasteries. But then the second half is some Anne Rice bullshit where we tell you what happened.
You are crazy though, because the second half.
Face up, Lebo.
That fool walked into the sun, got turned around, and got left up on a roof for like 4 months. Are you insane? Just laying there like, half burned. And then they have to do that insane, like, dirty cop heist. Where he's like, they throw a thing over him, and they're like, oh, go check and see if there's a gun. You know, remember? And you're like, and the guy's like, I guess I'll check. And he's like, boop, surprise.
Meanwhile, this is all happening in an Eloise hotel situation. Yes.
Like, you're crazy. That is from start to finish. Falls out amazing.
Okay, fine. But it took a really long time to write about it.
Straight up hijinks.
Oh my God. Oh, Anne, God bless you.
I wish she was alive, still giving me. I wish that Armand was back on Night Island wearing his sweaters, like just.
Did y'all read? Okay, so somebody posted this amazing link about Anne Rice's doll collection. I will put it in the show notes. I actually did, like, for me in numbers, which aren't numbers, but on Blue Sky, just retweeting this about Anne Rice had this enormous, creepy, fucking insane doll collection, lots of them Vampire Chronicles dolls, and it all got left to a museum, so you can go and see Anne Rice's doll collection, and I don't know, maybe
we should do that as a bonus tip on a trip.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, can we please go to New Orleans? Can we please?
No, it's not in New Orleans. Some random place. It is not in New Orleans.
What?
No, it's in like some.
Okay.
Oh my God, we should do both. We should do
Okay.
that.
Go to the Anne Rice Vampire Ball is what we need to do. But I don't have anything to wear.
Oh, we can take care of that. We can do that.
We can figure that out.
We will find outfits.
This book was so crazy. Yes, it
It's
is
so
so
good.
properly.
I
loved it.
Okay.
Okay, let's do it.
All right. So this is an actual remix. So the questions really do apply.
Yes, it's amazing.
Big dick energy or big dick energy? Obviously, Flavius.
Like, yes, but again,
and Pandora. Oh my
Yes!
God.
Not Marius.
Here's the thing.
Not Marius.
Marius's dick does figure in this.
Speaking of
His
dicks,
big dick energy is
I
involved.
am so thankful. Chef's kiss. Thank you, Anne Rice, for finally putting that question to bed. Because she'd been skirting around it for 20-odd years, 30-odd years about how these like vampire dicks work.
It's all marble chest and shit. Yeah.
Yes, but like, now I know.
Okay. I
think it creaks. Like, do you think it
it's like a Barbie knee.
No,
it makes that little pop sound.
It's seamless. It doesn't make a sound.
You know
it doesn't.
What it's like?
It doesn't have a crease. Like it's marble.
Like but I feel like it's gonna feel like those, those toys that were kind of like the beaded toys, but heavily beaded, and you can move them around a little bit.
Yeah.
Like obviously, it's gonna be harder.
It's
but
like
I feel
mechanical
like
in some way.
Similar sensation.
No, I think it's a piece of stone.
The thing is, she goes to sleep with this thing. She's like, no, I need to do this when I go to sleep. I cannot spoon with a man and go to sleep. Like that's for awake shit. I need to know. I don't want to know he's sweating on me. Like, and she's like, okay, I'm gonna go to sleep on my first night of vampirism. My first night being what I've wanted my whole life, unfucking touchable. but I'm gonna do it pressed up so close to you that I've got your Marvel business and
In my business.
like this.
You know what I don't understand about vampirism in her
Hmm.
world is that every other, like, I feel like every other sensation is a bazillion, right? Like, she could see all the colors, you could hear everything.
Like a handshake.
Yes.
She literally said, like, in
Yeah.
the text, it was like
Like holding
what
hands.
did she say? Like the nether regions don't matter, or it was something
Yes,
weird. It was like
above it,
below the
yeah.
belt. It was like it doesn't matter. It was something about all that mattered was he drank from me and I drank from him, or like
Which
something
the
like
thing
that.
is,
Like,
it does matter in these
But
books when
okay.
you press your white chest against somebody else's white chest. They are
Yeah.
really pressing a white chest. All right.
I just think they're missing such an opportunity. Like they could just have
Mhm.
such good sex, and
Right.
they're just missing
She,
such a
bet-
damn opportunity.
I bet
God.
Homegirl tried it with some men, like some lives, like some living men, though.
Oh
I bet-
yeah. Yeah. Well,
Guys,
like your window like
Fucking
Dracula.
to
And she's
death.
like, "Well, does it work?"
oh god, I bet it's like perimenopause up in there though. Like you gotta have like the.
Oh yeah, you gotta lube, obviously. Oh my god, because it's like marble. Can you
like
imagine
a mortar and
scraping up
pestle,
there?
like that mortar and pestle noise, like eater.
So, what are the pubes like? Are we talking about like?
Well, no, I mean it would still be hair because their
What
hair, like.
I mean, I guess. By the way, I hope you don't want to change with the fashions because you're gonna be doing this every fucking evening. Oh my god.
You could never groom.
No.
You could never groom.
Well, you shouldn't be anyway.
I mean, that's fair.
Live Moss.
I guess, but like, well, what if you whatever? Yeah, I guess you don't.
No,
change
no,
it up.
you're not changing that. You're not changing. So it's better,
I
honestly,
guess
to have your hair and all your body as long as possible because whatever fashion changes, you can fix that when the sun goes down. But
I
if
have to plan to be a vampire. Like, what if I had a pixie cut and somebody was like, "Let me change you"? I'd be like, "No, you gotta wait till my hair grows."
well, I mean, and that's until the
Come
body.
back in a year, motherfucker.
They had him like
I want a
frozen
pixie
shit.
cut for eternity.
Oh my
Like
god, it'd be the
they
worst.
had David Talbot, like his new Asian body, had him like get his nails. He got a manicure and shit.
He got
Yes.
prepped. That son of a bitch. Like,
The only person who gets to get prepped for being a vampire. It's like everybody else did not get the colonoscopy.
I bet you.
I forgot about that.
Money that Barrick prepped herself because she had all that in cahoots. You know that.
Oh,
I
Eric
bet.
did not fuck around.
Her hair was so.
Oh.
Do you not think that her hair was
She went and got
perfect?
a Brazilian. She went and got it all like.
Yeah,
No,
she's
you
like,
don't
I'm ready.
get it.
Let's do this.
No, because what if later you want that? No, you get everything grown out, and then if you want to at 7 o'clock on a good sundown, you rip it out, whatever. But you want to have the options.
I don't want to. You know what? Then I'll
You
just
don't
get
know what
like
happens in
the-
the year 3000.
They've got wigs. I can get a wig. Just slap on
Merkin.
there.
That's a merkin.
You know what? I bet by the year 3000, Merkin technology will be as such that we can do whatever we want whenever we want.
You know, I don't know what they do in the year 3000, but I do know that Pandora is still going to be hunting it.
Yes,
All
she
right.
is. Oh my god.
Would you talk shit with her about the heroine? I loved her so much.
This obviously is the like, dude. I will say, like, obviously coming into this book, and I think as like a lot of people feel like in this post-election, whatever. I was not enthusiastic, but I felt her to be like such a breath of fresh air, and
Yes.
like she was such a good little feminist icon. I mean, it just she was so great. And again, I think that's what's really interesting about Anne Rice, that it makes me want to read, I guess, some of the witch books, because like her female voice is so fucking fantastic. And like the thing is like this character is everybody, because she's funny, she's like really witty, she's also like she knows her own mind, but she knows her own faults. She knows like she's so self-aware that it's just a really well-rounded female character. And it was so refreshing to read because sometimes in these books, you don't get that. And you don't get a grown ass woman, somebody who is like relative, like again, kind of contemporarily our age, so to speak. And
yeah.
Well, and
Anne
loves
awesome. I wanted her to be my friend.
Yeah.
I was like, let's hang out, Pandora.
But Anne loves Lestat. Like Anne is obviously that's her guy, right? That's the and I get that. Like I have head guys like that too. Yeah. But when she writes him like fanfic of her guy, right?
Yeah.
When she writes Pandora, I mean I might be projecting, but I'm assuming that she thinks of Pandora as a lot like herself. Whereas
I think so too. That's what it felt like. Yeah.
Yeah, and Pandora felt like such a real person that I was so stressed for her. Like take a nap, take a motherfucking nap.
Like, the pacing of this book was so good because the first part of it really kind of lulls you into this. Again, the ending is so horrific and so fast paced and like. I think that this is like the one book that I was like, aside from the beginning where we have like the 17 pages about the fucking notebook.
Yeah, and what happened in that?
You didn't need like her editing wasn't neat. Like it was so good. Like I felt like it was like.
Surprised. I read some reviews of it and reader reviews, and I was surprised a lot of people didn't like this one, and I was like, really?
You know what?
I mean, a lot of people thought that Marius was not worth it, which fair. Okay, fucking fair. A lot of people thought it sagged in the middle, which I guess I can see, but you need that stuff. I don't know. I thought it moved with a fucking clip. Like, I never had to complain in our little group chat, like, oh my God, Anne, get to the fucking point. Eric. No, I was in it to win it the second we went back to ancient Rome. Now, I mean, like, yeah. When it was David and the fucking Telemasca, like, kill me now. But like once it started to actually be about Pandora, Jesus, yes, this was the great. Now, I mean, it was kind of it left me wanting more, which most of these books do not. I was like,
that's the thing. It's like I would have loved a whole series.
So, this because Anne is still not writing a lot of other women. So the only two women in this, I guess, really, other than the enslaved girls, are Akasha and
Priestess.
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, they're always talking about. Does it count if they're talking about a vampire? I don't know. It does. I think what's interesting. Yeah, you no longer kind of fit in whatever the schema is of other people. No, I think that's a really good point because, like, yeah, you're right. She starts out with "I'm Roman," and everything in Roman is good, obviously. Yeah, what's funny about how America thinks about Rome depends on where you are in America. But like right now, there's a lot of narratives for the past like maybe 20, 30 years about like Rome being the heart of genuine republicanism. But even when Rome became imperial, the true Rome is Republican Rome, right? And I think that has a lot to do with how we think about ourselves, of course. Obviously, classics are always what we think about ourselves. But I think that's a really good kind of metaphor for okay, so Pandora starts off as Roman, the most Roman of Romans, and then she is horrified by the fact that kind of coming to terms with something that she loved was and she knew was foreign but was not presented to her as foreign actually is in fact other is genuinely Egyptian. Like she really wrestled with that and was not able to deal with it. But then when she became essentially that thing, she's like, we need to start a new religion. Like she went so fucking hard. Like she read Judith Butler and was like, no. But it was that, but it was also like she's sort of curious about Christianity, which I think is interesting because, of course, in founding documents of Christianity, sort of the Romans are not the good guys.
Right.
I don't know. I think the whole thing is really, really interesting, and I like what you brought in about how like vampirism and foreignness kind of being like a theme in this that are
Right, because it's like they just went
linked
beyond
and challenging to her.
Yeah, but it's almost like they become. I don't know, because it's like even though her like a sexual being.
Whose genitalia is what it was.
But you know what I mean, like where Marius obviously like that. Marius has transcended that, I guess, or whatever. It's still like a concern. Like it's still a thing that. Like,
yeah, she's like, I'm not too good for that. I'm not.
Right.
Just because you say you're too good for that, it's important to me, even if
But
it's.
then it goes into. I think that what's interesting is like it kind of like feeds into this idea of, like vampirism and sexuality is not one size fits all in these books. Just like it's not like, again, you can be like spectrums of queerness.
Well, who knows
like,
what they're doing somewhere else? We're only watching these like Anglo-European vampires. What are they doing in like Thailand?
Gabrielle is like
a kind of vampire.
And
they actually
is
bring
like
that up in this book.
in the woods. Yeah,
they bring up.
And I mean, yeah,
we've
we've seen
vampires
that
elsewhere.
I mean, that was the one where like people were sacrificing themselves to him, right?
Yeah, but that was so gross. That was Anne's weird racism,
Yeah.
like where they
I
were
know.
lining up, and
I
you're
know,
like,
but that's what I'm saying.
in
Like
the-
that's
in the
some of
cold.
the depiction of like where it's happening outside of the
Right,
white
but
world.
like,
Yeah.
Okay, when it comes to consent, is this book more Robin Thicke or Marvin Gaye?
Okay, here's my issue: is that I know that when they are doing it, it is basically mortar pestle situation. But she just grabs it. She just grabs it. She just takes it
Well,
without his permission.
Fair, because he just vamped her without her permission.
Well, he was trying to save
True
her
story.
life because she was like getting into
Yeah.
some nonsense.
Well, I mean, most of those vampires think that it is terrible to be a vampire. So why would you ever vampire somebody?
Here's the thing.
Flavius asked for it. Flavius said, "Will you do it?" And she
I
did
think
it.
that she, like, by going to that house, she knew what
When
he
she
was.
climbed that wall.
She was like, "It's happening."
That's
But
felony
she-
murder. What if you commit a felony and then a murder happens? Then you felony murder.
What's wild is that like when they're doing it, it's like she just like grabs it and it's like bloop bloop, like just like plugs it in there. I was like,
And
you
it's
should
just
be
like
like,
a-
hey,
Sorry, I have a glass and a. Can you hear this?
go ahead, Claire.
I think that I would say it was non-consensual, except that he doesn't care what happens with that thing. Because
No,
he doesn't care. Like,
but
he
it still
just
doesn't
back
matter
up
if
and
somebody's
talk
okay
about
with
I
it.
don't care about it anymore. And she still cares about it, and she wants to fuck with it, literally. But like, I just don't think he cares. So it's like almost like consent doesn't. I'm not even saying consent doesn't. Those words will never
No, I
leave my
get
mouth.
what you're
But it's
saying.
like he doesn't care. He's like, oh, that doesn't matter. to
If
me.
you don't want your
Yeah.
grandmother's china anymore, but it's still in your house, and you tell me, I don't want my grandma's china anymore, but you haven't thrown it away, and if I break into your house, I climb the wall, and I take your grandma's china, that's still stealing.
I don't
It's
know.
fair.
I guess it's
I'm
like if
not sure
somebody,
that's
messes with your like.
Your grandmother's china is what I'm calling this business now, of course.
I don't know. I guess it's like if somebody just.
Well, I will say that although it wasn't covered explicitly, there were certainly a lot of things that happened to Pandora that were without her consent during her life.
Oh yeah.
Again, it
Oh,
wasn't like
God.
part of the story, but that was implied. And so that's interesting. And I really kind of, I mean, maybe it's just this like activist, like, yay, feminist kind of thing. But like, I admire that she like didn't ask permission. She was just like always like, I'll ask
I'm gonna take
forgiveness
that.
later. Maybe I don't give a fuck about forgiveness. You know,
Oh,
like
no.
maybe I'm just going to do whatever I want. And like, I know maybe, and it's probably completely unfair from a woman's point of view, but like, I don't give a fuck when a woman's doing
was
that sometimes,
refreshing.
you know? Like, it's just like, okay. Like,
But to me,
agree.
yeah.
vampire books, to me, the issue of consent is not usually sex. It is usually fang, and she did not consent to being fanged by Akbar or by Marius. Or,
That's true.
I mean, she did consent to Akasha, but that's not. She didn't really like.
I mean, but really,
Yeah.
Akasha's the one who set the whole thing in motion.
I mean,
though.
Akasha did the entire.
None of it was. Pandora didn't choose any of that. Like everything that happened was essentially like a date rape drug to Pandora. I think the normal Pandora would have taken a nap. She wouldn't have been acting like this. She was acting out of her mind the whole time. So
I think she still would have done the things. Like I still think she would have done all the things. She could have just had a rest.
I think she would have liked to have been asked.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I don't
Absolutely.
Know. I feel like it was kind of like. I felt like it almost had the machinations like of a Merrick.
Once she saw Marius, she was like, "So how do you do that?" Yeah, I would like to be hot and young forever. Well, young.
She didn't want to get dream haunted into trauma
No.
bonding with him. No, for sure. But
Because what happened to her was very traumatic. I mean, obviously what happened with her dad and all, but what happened with the dreams and all that was very upsetting for her, and she didn't want to do that. So, I mean, I would say that's a huge consent issue, especially because she was made a vampire without her will, and that's the big consent thing. I mean, how badly are you judging your mom off for reading this book? I'd rather she read this one than the other Vampire Chronicles books.
I would have asked my mom to read this aloud to me.
Especially the part with the dicks.
Mom, read me Pandora again.
Oh,
it was so fun. Oh my god, what a
honey, you had Pandora for lunch. No, I mean this was literally this is what I wanted from these books.
Yeah.
This is exactly what I wanted. Give me this awesome character and how she became a vampire. This is what I wanted from Armand, and you gave me. I mean, we've discussed this half a book about that, but like
also, what's intriguing, and again, what I'm excited for is, I guess Flavius plays a big part in the.
I am now really excited.
Like the Prince Lestat trilogy. Because I want to go back to him. Books. I really do think that I think his name was Germanicus, the son that was murdered. Yeah. I felt like there was something so connecty about that. And like him being this slave that was kind of like, he looked like the description of him was that he almost like wanted to just die. I don't know. So I feel like there's something there.
Regret to inform that will be coming to you around 2030. We have so many more books before Prince Lestat and like the whatever of Atlanta.
Oh, I know.
Let's just skip ahead to them.
No. Because we skipped Them Like the Devil, and Anne Rice has been haunting us with a thumb up our butts the entire time. So we have to read these books I've never heard of.
There is a Marius book. That's just like all the details that we haven't gotten yet. So I guess we have to read that.
He better have fixed himself.
I don't know.
I mean,
writing this from inside of a whale.
Remember. Okay, so remember Marius, in this book, we first met him as a mortal man. So he is tops, like 45 in this. He has a lot of like growing to do. Like he will improve as a person, right? He almost has to. Yeah, I mean he'll still get stuck in
his immortal life
in national parks. He'll still get like you're not gonna go hiking with him. Because
it'll be like 35, 42, and Marius will be like, well, actually.
So
he's the worst vampire ever. Like
he enjoys none of it. None of it. He had
some real drips. There's been some real drips as far as
it really has.
He had a Florentine villa full of his favorite kind of boy, and he couldn't even like it.
Nope. But he's still miserable.
I had to hang out. If somebody was like, between Marius and Louis, I'm going to hang out with Louis. Mm-hmm. That's how bad he is.
1,000%.
Yes. So would Florida ban it? So it talks about enslavement a lot. So Florida does enjoy that. And there is some xenophobia.
I don't think it would, because it's also, I was thinking this earlier, it's like a Shakespearean comedy. Like it ends with a marriage, or sort of ends with a marriage. You know, I mean, it's the breakup of a marriage. But still, like, yeah, no, I think that, like, Florida would like how traditional this vampire novel.
But, I mean, everybody's very bi, which I don't think Florida would like. Something like that. With absolutely inappropriate evening and offer show your tits thing.
Oh my God, when he said like the line where he's like, "You have 3 layers of silk, and I can see through all of them."
I can see your 3,000 merkin.
Oh my, her nipples are out.
Ah,
Everybody
is
sees them.
like, oh Lord, and the whole market.
Which itself would die.
Any pages? Yeah, but they'd be confusing. They'd be so. How does it work?
Oh yeah, I would have been like, "This is the page that talks about vampire dick." Hold
Yes.
on, this is the one.
Ever wanted to know is how it
This
works.
is the one.
Like, that's the thing. That's why Stephanie Meyer was a semi-genius, because at the end of that book, she told us how it worked. And we'd all been waiting for somebody. Here's the thing. This is why 40-something-year-old women love Twilight, is because we started this journey with Lestat, but we never knew how it worked. And we wanted to know. And Stephanie Meyer finally answered it. Now,
She's like, "It'll blow your back out."
I'm sorry to quote Merrick, tack you to the bed. Tack you to the mattress.
But she told me we got broken beds. It's like what we've been wanting. We've been wanting that to happen with Lestat and Louis.
Destroy some shit.
So it's like Bella and Edward are the placeholders for Lestat and Louis, because we've been wanting that blowing the back out since we were 12. So more than half of our lifetime, and that question finally got answered. And there you go. So yes, I would dog
Thanks,
you all
Stephanie.
now.
So, should a normal person in the year 2020, oh my God, 5, read this book? Yes, because this is garbage. Everything is awful. And this book might actually make you feel a little bit better about this. It really
it's also a little bit feminist. So it's like, yay.
Yeah.
A little bit.
And you know what? I mean, okay, Pandora theoretically was born in an age of giant political upheaval, right? Like, Augustus is when it became clear that the Roman Republic was never coming back.
Right.
I'm pantsing this. I did not come up with this beforehand, so let me just fly on this. So, to her, she thinks she's living through a temporary thing. And it's awful to her, and it sucks. But actually, she's living through a long thing that she's going to have to fight for a long fucking time. But you know what? She lives a fucking millennium. And she sees things happen, and things are bad, and things are good. And I don't know what she does for a lot of it. I hope to God that she fucking fights it. That she doesn't just like Lestat it and go into the earth all the fucking time. I hope that she's
I think she has a great time. I think
like
she has
with
a great time.
I hope that she's like going to salons and business. Yeah, I hope that she is like a Polish partisan in the fucking woods. I don't care what the fuck she's doing. I just hope that she's doing it and she's living what she thinks that she has to live.
This is what I like about the female vampires so much more than the male vampires, to be honest, is that they don't hate themselves. They don't they're not miserable all the time, you know? They're not just like, "Oh, walk into the sun now." Like, no, they're just like, "Let me like do this thing and see how
it never occurs to her to die. She never is like, I'm going to lay down and fucking die. You know
what else is interesting about the female vampires versus the male vampires is the male vampires all stay and exist within conventional societal norms. All the women do is go run out in the woods.
They do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah, Gabrielle, Claudia,
Pandora, yeah. So I would like to urge you to be a female vampire.
Bodice Tipplers is part of the Frolic Network. Find more podcasts you'll love at frolic.media/podcasts.